Right. So yesterday we discussed about the facets overview in context to the training of exclusive facets, which is majorly useful because let me repeat again. Right. So in context to the facets is one of the core administrative application in widely used across healthcare organizations, all that. So as we all know, facets Next Health Edge, there are different applications we use in healthcare. If you want to manage any administrative processes in any healthcare organization, Facets is one of the core application. Apart from Facets, of course, we have even QNext. At the same time, we have even Health Edge, right? So there are different applications will be used across industries. That's the introduction part I've given already. Now, in today's session, I'm going to discuss about few aspects, especially in context to the facets part is concerned. Because whenever we are working on facets application, we must be knowing about few things. Few things about the enrollment part. Of course, there are a lot of modules we have in facets, but I'm just specifying few of the modules or few activities. What is that uh, we can do using facets application and what you must be expertise with. Because as you guys are learning healthcare BA, at the same time, Facets business analyst or Facets people working on Facets usually in real world. We must have a clarity over what usually involves in Facets. I'm mentioning few because there are a lot many. Mentioning few areas where Facets application majorly dealt with, and you must be having some experience and exposure on these areas. The first one about enrollment part. Okay. The first one, as I can see, right. So when it comes to the core healthcare administrative application, uh, the first one is about enrollment, right? So enrollment is what something which being working into facets and all that. So one must be good with, right? So enrollments of members, right? So all these things, that is one thing. Of course, I'm going to detail you about enrollment, all that when coming this thing. The first one about enrollment, this is one thing which I usually work with. And most of the work, whenever we are working on facets and all, one of the key area is about enrollment that we must be expertise with and we must have exposure on that. So after enrollment, the next was about billing and payments because whatever the healthcare billing as well as payments at the same time, billing and payments reconciliation, right? So all these things, right? So this is also one of the key area wherein we must be familiar with. At the same time, the next one about claims and encounters, right? So whatever the claim processing, claim adjudication, right? So say right from the claim submission to claim processing, claim adjudication, all these things are comes under the claims, all that stuff. Along with that, as it is a healthcare environment where we need to understand the risk part as well. This is where generally this risk adjustments and all everything come into picture, right? So adjustments, right? So all these things are also one of the key element we need to be focused. And nowadays, as far as the decision making in context to the healthcare organizations when we are managing, it's always important for us to understand about analytical process because of course this is not something uh, is not experienced with all the people, right? People who are is having experience in the field of analytics, all that. So those people will be because if you want to have some healthcare analytics or facets analytic related stuff and on some kind of statistical understanding over uh, statistical understanding is something essentially required so the for the people and all that. So if you want to make some analytics, because analytics is one of the key and the prominent element we see, majorly focusing on analytics part, where it focuses more on the decision making front by taking the data, because without having a concrete data, whatever the scientific approach we follow, so based on that, companies usually takes decisions, all that. So analytics plays a vital and important role, all that. At the same time, when we are working on any kind of application, this is prominently used by performing testing also. Testing is also one of the key uh, prominent element, right? So in order to evaluate the quality over, right? So all these things are comes under the testing part. So these are the high level areas. Of course, there were many. I'm not specifying all that, right? So in today, because slowly one after another, in the coming sessions, I'm going to explain to you. But when it comes to the enrollment, right? So which is the first one, as I told you. So whenever we are working on the enrollment parts, being into working on facets and all, we should have an idea over performing the member assessments and all, whatever the assessments, whatever the enrollments. At the same time, in context to the medical uh, insurance plans, like something like Medicaid, health plans, or recovery plans, and all everything. So this is one area where we have to be focused in the enrollment perspective. At the same time, we need to automate the member eligibility rules in context to the SNPs, like if there is any kind of Medicare special needs plans we have, or is any kind of Medicaid health and recovery plans do we have. All these things also comes under the enrollment part. Followed by this, when it comes to the enrollment part, being into working on facets application and all, wherein to extract member eligibility information. Uh, Normally, we extract this major information from the facets application, followed by extraction of facets member eligibility information and all. We have to, based on that, generally we have to generate enrollment files like HIPAA, because HIPAA, as I mentioned you yesterday, HIPAA is an Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, right? So whatever the procedure codes and all everything falls under EDA transaction codes and all. HIPAA rules and regulations is what something which healthcare organization has to be followed, right? So HIPAA 5010, EDA 834, right? So for all that medical or dental or vision vendors, right? So all these things are comes under the enrollment part. Now, when it comes to the billing and payments, reconciliations and all that, so wherein we need to have an understanding over integration with the client systems, right? So with third-party payment systems and all. Because when we are working on healthcare applications, especially on facets or something, wherein we might require to connect with client systems, all that, wherein we need to connect with some client systems. At the same time, any third-party applications, or else any CRM or ERP applications and all that. So wherein that integrations and all everything is what something which we have to do with. It's not only with some CRM and ERP applications, something like third-party payment systems, majorly which allows members to set up any kind of recurring payments and make any kind of premium payments online from the member portal, all that. At the same time, when it comes to the billing and payments reconciliation, where we need to understand over about how the processing of premium bills and all everything through a payment gateway to the third party, wherein to accept and process the payments and all that. At the same time, when it comes to the exchanges, right? So actual deposit of the exchanges is concerned when there are different subsidies like APTCs, all that, right? So because we have APTC, like which we call it as advanced premium tax credits, or CSR, like cost sharing reductions, right? So whatever we are working using different EDI 820 policy based payment notifications in HIPAA, all these things are comes under the billing and payments reconciliation is concerned. At the same time, one of the major and four important element being into facets we must be good with is all about claims and encounters, where here we need to validate the adjudication in context to the different EDI codes like 837P. 837P majorly specifying about the professionals, 837P, whereas 837I for institutionals and D for dental and all that. So normally validate and as well as automate this adjudication claims and all everything, majorly from various provider networks and vendors, which is in response to the forms, because whatever the forms we use, like in HIPAA, like 88277 or 835 forms, all that. At the same time, integration over the client systems with the third-party vendors and all everything to process EDI 278 or pre-authorization request. At the same time, extracting the adjudication of medical claims, dental claims. It's at the same time which majorly used to calculate the capitation rates. Okay, at the same time identifying the clinical areas. At the same time, reconciliation encounters of submissions in context to the responses we have generated for any kind of discrepancy reports. At the same time, understanding and extracting what are the different commercial plans, which claims information, processes, and all everything, which majorly focuses for reinsurance calculations. At the same time, risk score, all that. Now, when it comes to the fourth one, which is about risk adjustment, where we need to understand about the kind of risk adjustment initiatives, wherein by analyzing what are the different encounters and extracting data charts and all that, wherein by reviewing all that. At the same time, we also require to have an idea or creating the workflows and all, which are used to analyze and supplemental codes and submitted to state or CMS edges and all that. Along with this, having a knowledge over some data aggregation, validating to obtain and suspect list for creating reports, and analyzing the responses from the government bodies. Right? So all these things comes under the risk adjustment part. Along with this, when it comes to the analytical part, of course, which is optional, I can say, because initially when we are working or whenever we are applying for facets or healthcare BA or exclusive facets related jobs, like either it can be BA or maybe of any testing or something like analytics, I can say an optional, because I don't focus more on, because make sure people should have some statistical understanding over analytics and data related stuff, because I'm not sure, like, because people come from different professional experiences. So I don't focus more on analytics part unless people are more specified, because there are some people who already works on facets. They may have experience requirement in context to the training part. I'm saying in context to the analytics and all that time, that is where we can focus more on it, right? So analytical part and all that, right? Because we need to create some analytical understanding over customer care by tracking the real-time member information, all that. All these things comes under the analytical part, all that, right? So whatever the QARR reporting or star ratings and all everything, all these things comes under the analytical part. But when it comes to the testing part itself is concerned, of course, yes, some kind of manual testing by preparing test cases and all everything are required. At the same time, wherein we need to automate facets, batch jobs and all everything, wherein by performing some regression testing or performance testing to batch jobs testing and load testing and all that. At the same time, understanding our different test data, test cases, test scripts. So this sort of understanding is also required in context to the automation or testing itself is concerned. So these are, of course, high-level areas where majorly I discussed in today's session, not in detail, because there are other more areas where facets modules consists of other areas also, which I'm going to discuss in tomorrow's session. Right. So this is all about this session today. If you have any questions, you can ask.